Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Nahmaduhu nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. Amma ba'd. Fa'uzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. তো আমরা যে আসসালামু আলাইকুম ওয়া রাহমাতুল্লাহি ওয়া বারাকাতুহু, আমরা যে সময় চেঞ্জ করেছি, তো এর ফলে অনেকে হয়তো খবর পাবে না। তো কাদ্দেমের পরামর্শ অনুযায়ী আমি একটা রিভিউ স্লাইড তৈরি করেছি, কিন্তু সেটা তৈরি করতে গিয়ে বেশ বড় হয়ে গিয়েছে। It became pretty big. The universe part A থেকে B থেকে C থেকে D থেকে কিছু হাইলাইট সামারাইজ করতে গিয়ে দেখলাম যে অনেক বড় হয়ে গিয়েছে, যার ফলে অ্যাটলিস্ট অর্ধেক সময় লেগে যাবে এই রিভিউ করতে, যেটা মানে অবশ্যই বিফলে যাবে না, কারণ আমরা 2 মাস আগে কি করেছি বা 1 মাস আগে কি আমরা রিভিউ করেছি, কিসের উপরে ডিসকাশন করেছি, সেগুলো তো মনে থাকার কথা না এতদিন পরে। এটা অবশ্যই বিফলে যাবে না। আর এগুলো এটা এমন এক সাবজেক্ট, এটা মাথা দিয়ে উড়ে যায়, আমার নিজেরই মাথা দিয়ে উড়ে যায়। তো রিভিউ করলে ভালোই হবে, খারাপ হবে না, 1 নম্বর। আর 2 নম্বর, এর মধ্যে হয়তো যারা খবর পায় না এই যে সময় চেঞ্জ হয়েছে, তারা চলে আসবে এর মধ্যে। তো তারপরে আমি যে অর্ধেক সময় মতো পাবো বা তার কিছু কম, তাতে সায়েন্টিফিক মিরাকলস অফ দ্য কোরআন, যেটা গতবার পার্ট সি কিছু বাকি ছিল, অল্প কিছু বাকি ছিল, সেটা শেষ করার যথেষ্ট সময় থাকবে ইনশাআল্লাহ। তো 4টে পার্ট ছিল। Allah as the creator of the universe. I have taken some highlights from part A and B and C and D, and then I summarize them to contain what we went through in 4 slides, 4 hours, 4 sets of slides in about 4 hours in maybe 30-35 minutes. As a worthy review for all of us, for me also. It was a wonderful review for me as I prepared these slides, recalling what we went over and then wondering even more, because last time we went over these slides rather quickly without having the time and the benefit of wondering about the various aspects of the creation of the Almighty. So what I proposed in the very first session on the universe, Allah is the creator of the universe, is okay, let's see the vastness of the creation of the universe, how vast it is. And then I proposed that, okay, let's start a journey through a spacecraft, and we assume that we can travel at the speed of light and we will live forever. Both the assumptions are unrealistic, but let's assume we can do that. And if we can do that, how long it will take for us to reach the limit of the universe, the observable universe that astronomers are able to see with the telescope, the farthest object from which light comes to the world. How long will it take to reach that farthest object? So that was the objective in the first part A. And then I said that, okay, we start from the Earth, and then we go to the moon, and then to the sun, and then we cross the solar system, and then we will cross asteroids, which are rocks orbiting the sun, and then we will come across comets, which again are solar system bodies that pass close to the sun. And then we will come across meteors, which are outer space bodies that enter the space of the solar system and travel at great speed, also known as shooting stars. And so we come across various celestial objects, asteroids, comets, which are shooting stars. And then we will come across black holes. A black hole is a region in space, and the gravitational force of a black hole, if you may recall, is so intense that even light cannot come out of the force of gravity of the black hole. Light cannot escape. And just in our Milky Way, there is anywhere from 1 crore to 100 crore black holes. So throughout the universe, there would be thousands and thousands of crores of black holes. Very powerful objects. And another very powerful objects we will come across are quasars, 1,000 times more powerful than our galaxy. Our galaxy has 20,000 to 40,000 stars. A quasar is 1,000 times more powerful than our galaxy, situated in the middle of galaxies. And I made a comparison of the smallest creation of the Almighty with one of the largest creation of the Almighty, which is quasars. So quark is the smallest creation, and quasars are among the largest creation. So how small is a quark? And the example I gave was that X-ray can penetrate a wall of lead half an inch thick. X-ray can penetrate that easily. Sorry, X-ray cannot penetrate that. It can penetrate our body, but it cannot penetrate lead, which is half an inch thick. A quark is so small and it is so penetrable that it can penetrate a wall of lead, which is 2 miles thick. It is so small and so penetrable. And quarks are so huge that they are 1,000 times more powerful than galaxies. Then we will enter our Milky Way and cross the Milky Way. Our Milky Way itself is a medium-sized Milky Way, which is about 100,000 light years across. So the distance that light can traveling at 186,000 miles per second, or close to 300 kilometers per second. So in this way, if you keep on traveling for 100,000 years, the space that you can travel, that is the space occupied by our Milky Way that you can see in the night sky, and like this, traveling from one part of the night sky to another part of the night sky. And this is the Milky Way from far away, spiral form of the Milky Way. And there are so many different forms of Milky Ways or galaxies that we have seen. So our Milky Way, 100,000 light years across, 20,000 crore to 40,000 crore stars just in our Milky Way. And there is enough dust and gas to form thousands of crore more stars over time. And thousands of crores of solar systems in our Milky Way. So for example, if there are 20,000 crore stars, many of them have solar system around each star. So there would be thousands of crores of solar systems, planets, satellites, asteroids, comets, meteors, dark matter, dark energy. And I was thinking just today or yesterday that why has the Almighty created so many different celestial bodies, many of which have been discovered only in the last 50 years or so. When the Quran was revealed and he talks about all that he has created between the heavens and the earth, nobody had any idea about all of this. Only in the last 50 years, we came to know about the multitude of heavenly or celestial bodies that he has created. Why has he created all of these? And some of these are so extreme in how they are. We'll come to those. So the number of galaxies and stars in observable universe, the universe that we can observe, up until 2016, the estimate was 20,000 crore galaxies in the observable universe that was estimated, which is 200 billion. And how many stars are there in our galaxy? About 20,000 crore to 40,000 crore stars just in our galaxy. And in the entire universe, there are about 20,000 crore stars estimated as of 2016. As of 2000, as of up until 2016. But in 2016, the number was increased 10 times. 10 times, that means 20,000 crore multiplied by 10. So that would be 2 lakh crores, 2 trillion galaxies in the universe that is observable. And please note that the observable universe is a small fraction of the total estimated universe. It's a small fraction. Observable meaning observable by telescopes, the most powerful telescopes that rotate the Earth. So observed by these most powerful telescopes, but the universe beyond the observable universe is a much bigger part of the observable universe. And the number of stars that is estimated is 24 zeros after 1. Many times more than the number of sand particles on Earth. And again, you have to wonder, why has he created such a huge universe? And so many different types of celestial bodies. Now, the objective of the first part of the presentation was, what is the size of the universe? So we wanted to reach the farthest object from which light comes to the Earth. And light coming to Earth from the farthest object, 2016 estimate was, it would take us 4,600 crore years traveling at the speed of light. So that would be 4,600 crore light years to reach the farthest object from which light comes to the Earth. So that was 2016 estimate. 2018 estimate is it will not take 4,600 crore light years, but 7,500 crore light years. So it has been increased significantly. So that is on one side. That is on one side. So if you go to the other side, it should be another 7,500 crore light years. So 7,500 crore light years on one side, and then 7,500 crore light years on another side. That would be 15,000 crore light years. That is the size of the universe as estimated in 2018. And I mentioned that in 2020, a much more powerful telescope has been put into orbit, and we will get more updated estimates of everything. And the other astounding aspect of the universe is it is inflating at an accelerating pace, like a balloon. If you inflate a balloon, and if there are specks on the balloon, the specks representing heavenly objects. So when you inflate the balloon would inflate, and the specks will go further away from each other. And that is what is happening as per astronomers to the galaxies and stars that are in the universe. As the universe is expanding, each galaxy, each star, each planet is moving away from each other at a tremendous speed. So the fact that the universe is expanding is not a point of debate. That is accepted fact. And that was discovered not too long ago. And that is also mentioned in the Quran. We went over that under our discussion on scientific miracles in the Quran. Allah Ta'ala says, we are expanding it. So that's not a point of debate. The point of debate is the universe expanding at what speed or velocity is the universe expanding? And some astronomers are of the opinion that the universe is expanding at a speed close to or greater than the speed of light. So this is expansion of the space of the universe. It's not that the celestial bodies are traveling at that speed. The space of the universe is expanding at a speed greater than the speed of light. And the reason cited is, I mean, after the Big Bang, there should be an expansion and then there should be a contraction. But in the last few decades, astronomers found that the universe is expanding. And then they came up with dark matter and dark energy as the explanation of why the universe is expanding. So that is a part that mistakenly I left out, the discussion or review on dark matter or dark energy. But the major point is that the trillions of stars and the trillions of galaxies that we have, and all the other celestial bodies, the comets and the asteroids and the meteors and the dust and the gas particles that we have, forms just about 5% of the space in the universe, just about 5%. The remaining 95% or so is occupied by something that they are not very sure of, so they call it dark matter and dark energy emitting from the dark matter, as a result of which they say that the universe is expanding. So that is a part I forgot to include. And the interesting point is, if we travel at the speed of light and we reach the farthest object, which now is supposed to be 7,500 crore light years away, after 7,500 crore light years, that object would not be there because it is hurtling in space at millions of miles per hour. So you reach there, but you will not find it there because it has traveled elsewhere. In part B, actually, if I had to present this all over again, whatever presentation I made in 4 sessions, I would have done it in a different way. At that time, when I started, I thought I would make only 1 presentation, but then I found that I should cover much more because I discovered much more. So then I went into a little more detail about the solar system, which I will not go over here in this presentation. And so the point is that I would have presented this whole thing in a different way if I were to do it all over again. But I followed the sequence that we had earlier, more or less. I made some changes here and there, positioning some of the materials in a different place. But by and large, I followed the sequence that we have there. And among the planets in the solar system, I just have 2 or 3 of them. Jupiter, which is the largest planet and has 79 satellites. The Earth has only 1 satellite, but the record belongs to Saturn, which has 82 satellites. And see the different colors. They all don't have the same color. Neptune, why I put Neptune in my highlights is, even though it's an ice giant, it's basically so far away from the sun that it's a mass of ice. But the important aspect of Neptune, and you wonder why, that it has wind constantly traveling at around 900 miles per hour on the surface of Neptune. Constantly. The speediest wind that was recorded on Earth is 301 miles per hour, 301, somewhere in the Midwest USA. And this is on a constant basis of 900 miles per hour. And I mentioned that if we had this type of wind, then there'd be no structure on the Earth and the pyramid would be gone in 3-4 hours. The other aspect that I mentioned is the around the sun, the planets do not move in a perfectly circular fashion. The movement is rather elliptical, and it is most elliptical for Pluto. And that is one point. And the second point I wanted to make, or I made earlier, is if it was all due to gravitation and solely due to gravitation, without the will of some supreme being working, then I guess it should have been circular orbit around the sun, but it is not. The third point I made is that if it was solely due to gravitation, then the orbit would have been on the same plane, and it is on the same plane for all of the, virtually on the same plane for all of the planets. But look at the orbit of Pluto. It is 17 degrees tilted. That should not be if it is solely because of gravitation. So here we see the will of the Almighty, or as Cohen pointed out, the irada, the will of the Almighty. And towards the end of this presentation, the second presentation, what I mentioned was you have planets with different, it's not actually towards the end, but towards the end of the presentation on planets, I mentioned that you can see different colors and different sizes and shapes and different surface and interior compositions and different rotations also. For example, Venus and Uranus have retrograde rotations, whereas the others have prograde rotations. That means they rotate along with the sun, whereas Venus and Uranus rotate opposite to the sun, spin backwards. That means the sun rising in the west rather than the east, and setting in the east rather than in the west. And they have different days that they take to revolve around the sun, and they have wide difference in temperature. And there's another, this is actually, I think, from another presentation, the third presentation to my recollection. There is another exoplanet, that means outside our solar system, a planet WASP 17P that has retrograde rotation around its sun. Its sun is in blue. Its sun is in blue, and that planet WASP 17P has a retrograde orbit rotation on its or actually orbit around the sun, and that is something we would not see if it was solely due to the force of gravitation. And the other point we should note here, or we can make here, is that there would be so many deviations from the norm like this that we do not know of in the whole universe. And all of these point out to some supreme being outside the force of gravitation, or somebody who put in force or put in place gravitation, but then he shows that I do not let myself be ruled by gravitation, or I do not let the universe be ruled only by gravitation. I do not follow the rule whenever I don't want to follow the rule. And then we talked about supernovas, powerful and luminous stellar explosion that occurs during the last evolutionary stages of a massive star. A nova is also explosion of a star, but a supernova has more energy, much more energy. Supernovas are one of the most energetic explosions in nature, equivalent to the power of 10 to the power 28 megaton bomb. And the bombs that were exploded in Hiroshima and Nagasaki ranged from 15 kilotons to 21 kilotons. And this is 10 to the power 28 megatons, not kilotons. Supernovas can briefly outshine entire galaxies and radiate more energy than our sun will in its entire lifetime of estimated 10 billion years. And one has to wonder the irada, the will behind the Almighty, the will behind the creation of all of this in the Almighty. Why has He created such extremely powerful heavenly bodies, which up until now nobody knew about? And one has to conclude that He didn't care who knows about it. He just wanted to create, so He created. He creates whatever He wills. He doesn't care about people knowing or not knowing. But it is our good fortune that we know about some of the extremes in His creation. Hypernovas are typical, are supernovas, but a typical hypernova can be anywhere from 10 to 100 times more powerful than a supernova. And there is an explosion of a giant star. Our sun, if it gets that much time to explode in another 5.5 billion years, because it is a mid-sized star, its explosion would not be the explosion of a hypernova. A star explodes every second or so somewhere in the universe. Within our galaxy, an explosion occurs once every 50 years within our galaxy. But there are trillions of galaxies. So even though in one galaxy, an explosion is after every 50 years, because there are trillions of galaxies, a star is exploding somewhere in the universe every second, virtually. So that's a supernova. Neutron stars, we talked about it. They are very interesting celestial bodies created when giant stars die in supernovas, and their core collapse with the protons and neutrons essentially melting into each other to form neutrons. Their mass is similar to that of the sun, about maybe 1 times the sun or 2 times the sun, within that range. But their radius shrinks to just about 10 kilometers. The radius of the sun is hundreds of thousands of, actually millions of miles, the radius of the sun. But with the same mass as that of the sun, when there is a collapse of a star, a giant star, the giant star collapses to a radius of about 10 kilometers, about the size of a mid-sized city. But the mass is that of the sun. The mass remains the same. So that a spoonful of mass from the sun, which will weigh about 2 kilograms, a spoonful of mass from a neutron star will weigh 1 to 6 billion tons. 1 to 6 billion tons. It's unimaginable. You take a spoonful of mass from a neutron star, it will weigh anywhere from 1 to 6 billion tons. And nobody can lift it. That's a neutron star. And then we talked about, I'll not go into the details, we talked about the 4 fundamental forces of nature. Gravity is one force, and then the weak force, and then the strong force, and then electromagnetism, all set in place by the Almighty. And then whenever he wants to, he nullifies these forces. The third part, part C, largest known structure, is what we talked about in the beginning. And one of the largest known structures in the universe is a clump of active galactic cores that stretch 4 billion light years from end to end. And the reason, and it's known as the large quasar group. And earlier we mentioned that quasars are very powerful objects in the universe. So it's a large quasar group of quasars, collection of extremely luminous galactic nuclei powered by supermassive central black holes. And this particular group is so large that it challenges modern cosmological theory. And it consists of 73 quasars and spans about 1.6 billion light years in most directions, though it is 4 billion light years across at its widest point. And that goes against the laws of physics, because or astrophysics, because among the laws of astrophysics, we get to know that the universe is rather uniform in its composition. But when you take this particular LQG, the large quasar group, it is not uniform, because it spans 1.6 billion light years in most directions, and at the widest point, it is 4 billion light years, which means it is not uniform. So it goes against the laws of physics. And we looked at the various shapes of galaxies. And then, apart from these shapes of the galaxies, some of them are circular, some of them are spiral, some of them are elliptical, as this one is elliptical, and some of them are formless, for example, this one. Apart from these shapes, and there are 9 shapes here, and again, this makes us wonder why Allah Ta'ala felt it necessary to create so many different shapes for galaxies. But apart from these shapes, we also have galaxies which have shapes like a tadpole, which in Bengali we say bangachi, bangachir moto dekhte. Tadpole in the sense that it has very elongated tail, and this elongation, and these are all stars in this elongation. There are stars here, more stars here in the upper part, less stars here, but the stars stretch for about 280 light years. 280 light years, and compare that to our Milky Way, which is only 100,000 light years. And then you have jelly-shaped galaxies. So you have most of the stars here, and then there are stars that are beneath the major formation, like a jellyfish, and this is the shape of a jellyfish. And then you have one galaxy that has been discovered, which looks like the sunflower painting of Van Gogh, or a galaxy that looks like this, mice-shaped. And again, you have stars in this formation, you have stars that go hundreds of thousands of miles across. And then this one, again, is an amazing shape of 2 galaxies, actually, that are collapsing. There are interacting galaxies that are collapsing over time. The galaxy on the left is 2207. These are numbered. NGC 2207. The galaxy on the right is IC 2163. They look like a pair of eyes, as if these 2 pairs of eyes are looking all around. And again, a galaxy of this shape which looks like a legendary animal, which is called a Yeti. And that legendary animal, after that, this galaxy is known as the Yeti galaxy, a very strange shape. So you have all different types of shapes of galaxies that the Almighty has found fit to form. And then there was a discussion on most extreme planets discovered. This planet is amazing in the sense that actually this is the planet. It is amazing in the sense that there are silicon particles in its atmosphere which condense to form solid glass which flies around the planet sideways in its endless 4,000 to 5,400 miles per hour wind. There is an endless series of winds, never-ending series of winds traveling at anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 miles per hour. And with the wind travels the glasses that are formed from the silicon particles in the atmosphere, and they fly with the wind. That means sideways. They do not fall on the planet. This is an exoplanet outside our solar system, and that speed is 7 times the speed of sound. And I was wondering, why is this happening? And Allah Ta'ala has created something like this, but who is going to observe? Who is going to notice and wonder about his might and power? The might and power behind his creation. Nobody knew. Just about this was discovered very recently. Nobody knew up until that point, but it didn't matter to him. He is what he is. And among the most extreme planets is this one planet, that's the number 55 Cancri E, diamond planet, 40 light years away, discovered in 2004. Dense carbon concentration in the planet under extreme pressure formed gigantic diamonds. Planet sparkles diamond. Why? And this is a sun, a mid-sized sun that has collapsed to form diamond. It's basically a lump of diamond, Earth-sized. And this planet whips every 3.3 days around its star, exoplanet, that is circled every 25.7 years by a whirling pair of stars. So this is a pair of stars which is circling this star. And the planet, we actually don't see the planet because the planet is so small, but it is pretty close to the star. And a pair of stars is also circling this star. And the planet is somewhere here. Planet is rotating, or actually revolving around the sun somewhere close, takes 3.3 days to rotate the star. And so as a result, what happens is, as I mentioned, and if you remember, this is the planet. So it has 3 sunrises and 3 sunsets, because it has this sun around which it rotates, and then there are 2 other stars not very far away. So it has 3 sunrises and 3 sunsets. So this is a sunset. One sun has set behind this hill, and this would be a second sunset, and this would be a third sunset. So there are amazing sunset and sunrise scenes and solar eclipses on this planet. And this one is another extreme planet, which is actually full of water all around. It is like being in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with no land to see. It's all water all around. So different types of creation of the universe. The largest cosmic structure, I actually discovered this later on. And so it came in the 4th presentation, Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall. It is so big that light takes about 10 billion years to move across the structure For perspective, the universe is only 13.8 billion years old. 13.8 billion years old. But this structure is so big that it takes light to travel from one end to the other end, 10 billion years. This structure appeared to go against the principle of cosmology, or how the universe formed and evolved. The wall has a mean size in excess of 2 billion to 3 billion parsecs, 6 to 8 billion light years. In other words, it's not uniform. It goes against the laws of astrophysics. So this is one picture of that. Another picture of that, and the third picture of that from different angles and with different color of lenses. There are other structures that appear to violate universal homogeneity. The Sloan Great Wall, the huge large quasar group R2. There may be very well others, there may very well be others, and some could indeed be bigger. Extremes in the universe, highest electric current in a galaxy 2 billion light years away, colossal magnetic field generate highest known electric current that can light all Earth's light bulbs for 12 billion years, which is equal to 1 trillion bolts of lightning. So for 12 billion years, you would not need any other source of electricity if you could tap this magnetic field, which produces electric current. And the hottest place in the universe, gas cloud 5 billion light years away, temperatures regularly reach 300 million degrees, 20 times than that of the center of the sun. And again, I was wondering why the Almighty has created such hot spots in the universe. And I sometimes wonder that we are told in Hadith that the fire in the hell is 70 times hotter than the fire of the earth. Whether that 70 times hotter is just to mean that it is many more times hotter, because the hottest place in the universe so far recorded is so hot, 300 million degrees hot. I mean, this is centigrade, 300 million degrees centigrade. So how hot would be the fire of hell? I wonder sometimes. The cloud surrounds a cluster of galaxies that is 5 billion light years wide. Coldest known place, Boomerang Nebula. Nebula is actually a cluster of gas from which over time stars will be formed, gas and dust. Temperature is ½ degree above absolute zero, or minus 273 degrees, or minus 459 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. No heat energy remains. A human being placed there, if a human being is placed there, all the atoms in the body of the human being will stop moving immediately. And we also have to reflect that Jahannam is not just a ball of fire. There are also cold places, very cold. How cold? Allah knows. But this gives us a sense of how cold He can make it. Electrons and atoms, we discussed about that. Electrons have a mass of less than a trillionth of a gram. A single speck of dust contains more electrons than the number of people who have existed on the earth over all the centuries of time. A single speck of dust contains more electrons than the number of people who have existed on the earth over all the centuries of time. And aspect on, or actually perspective on atoms, even if we could somehow count atoms and counted them 24 hours a day for as long as we lived, we would barely begin to count the number of atoms in something as small as a grain of sand. Counting 24 hours a day all our life, we would barely begin to count the number of atoms in something as small as a grain of sand. And we mentioned about quarks. A proton is composed of two up quarks. An atom has neutron, proton, and electron within an atom. And the proton within an atom is composed of two up quarks and one down quark. There is up quark, down quark, bottom quark, top quark, and two other types of quarks, 6 types of quarks. So proton is composed of two up quarks and one down quark. And the gluons that mediate the forces binding them together. So there is some sort of glue that binds them together. The color assignment, so that is the reason why I included it. Even in a quark, Allah Ta'ala has put color codes. Color assignment of individual quarks is arbitrary, but all 3 colors must be present: red, blue, green within a quark. So intricate and so precise is His creation. Allah's creation and speech. Abdullah bin Masud narrated, Allah has not created in the heavens nor in the earth what is more magnificent than Ayat al-Kursi. In Bengali, we say Ayatul Kursi. He has not created in the heavens nor in the earth more magnificent than Ayatul Kursi. Sufyan said, because Ayatul Kursi is the speech of Allah, and Allah's speech is greater than Allah's creation of the heavens and the earth. So whatever we came across, and by the way, this is just a glimpse. After doing research, I got fed up that there's so much. How much patience will you have to go through all the various types of creations and extremes and varieties of Allah's creation? So I stopped at one point, but there is much more to it than what I've presented in 4 presentations. Allah's every ayat has greater status, is greater than all of Allah's creation. In other words, Allah's words are greater than Allah's creation. Allah's creation is great, Allah's words are greater. That is what is implied in this narration. In Surah Al-Imran, verse 190, Allah Ta'ala says, verily in the creation of the heavens and the earth and in the alternation of night and day, there are indeed signs for men of understanding. Verse 191, those who remember Allah standing, sitting, and lying down on their sides, and think deeply about the creation of the heavens and the earth, saying, our Lord, you have not created all this without purpose. Glory be to you. Give us salvation from the torment of the fire. See from where Allah Ta'ala brings us to where. He's talking about the creation, and then he's talking about the torment of the fire. He's reminding us that you make this tafakkur, that means wonderment about the creation of Allah. And then that's a big form of worship actually, to wonder about the creation of the Almighty, and then you seek Allah's forgiveness. With that amount of worship that comes out of wonderment about the creation of the Almighty, the elevation that you reach, with that elevation, you seek forgiveness from the fire of the hell. Because Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran about success, success is in being saved from the fire of hell and in getting paradise. Success lies in that. Eternal success. We define success differently. There has got to be a creator, and there can be only one creator. Allah is magnificent creator in terms of the magnitude of his creation, the vastness, the shapes, the sizes, the colors, which are indescribable, and his artistry is indescribable, unimaginable. Created from nothing, he created everything from nothing, does not need design or blueprint. There's no duplication in his creation, in any aspect of his creation, whether you take galaxies or stars or neutrons or whatever you might think. There's no duplication. There's no identical creation. No two stars are identical, and no two galaxies are identical, and so on and so forth. He created what he deemed fit. He created time and space. There was a time when there was no time, and there was no space. He created time and space. He's not bound by time-space limitations. He's free from past, present, and future. He created the past. He created time. So in other words, time passes. So therefore, we have past, present, and future. He has created with a set of systems and rules that he put in place, his irada, his will. But he makes exceptions. Time and again, he shows he's not bound by rules. The fixed orbits and rotations of celestial bodies is their obedience to the Creator. They remember him in their way. With limitless power, he is Halim, clement, forgiving, forbearing. It means many things, Halim. It is said that a person who has hilm, clemency, it is as if he has stopped one level below the level of prophets. Hilm is such a great quality. So he is Halim, Allah is Halim. That is one of his attributes. Even though some people hurl abuse at him, he does not lose, he does not inflict severe punishment on them right away. A human being with power loses sanity often. We cannot but feel utterly helpless, humble, befuddled. That means confused, muddled, puzzled, perplexed at his limitless creation. In front of his creation, we are nothing. The realm of the universe is beneath the first sky, and then you have the second sky. The first sky itself is beyond our comprehension. The second sky, compared to the first sky, is like the earth, and the first sky is like an egg. And the first and the second sky is like an egg, and the third sky is like the earth. In this way, he has 7 skies, and then he has the kursi. His kursi extends over the heavens and the earth. It is in front of the arsh at the level of the feet, and it is said that the 7 skies is like a ring, and the kursi is like a desert, and the 7 sky is like a ring in the desert. And then you have the arsh of Allah, and the kursi compared to the arsh is nothing but like a ring thrown out in the open space of the desert. So the kursi is like the ring, and his arsh is like the huge desert. So how big is his creation? And then I spoke even more about that. So he's the creator, Al-Khaliq. He's the provider, Ar-Rabb. He's the overpowering, Al-Kahhar. He is the powerful, Al-Kawi. He is vast in his knowledge and goodness. He is omnipresent, omnipotent, Al-Wasi. He is the overseer of all things, Al-Muhaymin. The granter of peace and security, Al-Mu'min, Al-Salam. He is almighty, Al-Aziz. He is the overpowering, Al-Jabbar. He is the greatest in majesty, Al-Mutakabbir. He is all-powerful, Al-Kavi. He is the all-powerful. He is the most powerfully able, Al-Qadir. He is the prevailing, Al-Muqtadir. He will destroy everything. He will recreate everything, Al-Mu'id. He will give life again, Al-Ba'ith. He will gather all on the day of judgment, Al-Jami. He will take account, Al-Hakam. This apparently limitless universe and what it contains, he controls effortlessly. And this is one of the bottom line of all this presentation, to share with you that if he has created such a huge universe, which is limitless, apparently, and he controls all his creation effortlessly, our problems and the problems of entire mankind is nothing to him. Solving our problems is nothing to him as long as we can surrender to him. That's the point. Surrendering to him, then we become his responsibility. You see, I mentioned this, that Pakistan Army fighting Indian Army and the freedom fighters, when they surrendered to the Indian Army, before the surrender, there was killing going on, fighting going on. After the surrender, everything stops. And now Pakistan Army is at the disposal of Indian Army. An enemy is at the disposal of the Indian Army. If we are not enemies of Allah, if we surrender to Allah, our problems becomes his problem. And to him, there is no problem. So this is something that we do not understand, and we become impatient when we face problems. What will happen? How will I face it? Where is the end? If we can surrender to Allah, leave it to him and say, oh, he controls the entire universe. What is my problem to him, or the problem of the entire mankind? He will remove the burden that are on us. He can remove all difficulties with the twinkling of an eye. This evokes hope. The worry is that we will have to account for all moments of our life, all our deeds. Again, the bright side is he's most forgiving, but we have to ask for forgiveness. He will not punish as long as we ask for forgiveness. There's a verse in the Quran to that effect. The whole creation is under his control. Creation has no power of its own. That's the other point I wanted to make. Creation has no power of its own. All the power, the novas and the supernovas and the quasars and whatever we see, have no power of their own. You can take away powers within a wink. The power he has given is not equal to the cobweb. Makushar jal barabonna. So when he takes away power from all of these, everything sinks into darkness. So I actually did not time what I put together. I thought it will take 30-35 minutes, and I will be able to finish the last section of scientific miracles of the Quran, which is part C of that series. But I just did not realize that I will take a little more than an hour. But as I was going through the presentation, I felt that it is worth it. And even though I prepared these slides, I did the research, and I reviewed to see what I can include. It was a learning again for me. It was a learning again for me. So we have to stop today, and then we will continue with scientific miracles of the Quran, the part that is remaining, and then I'll move on to part D in the next session. I pray and hope that you found it worthwhile. These are things that do not stick to the mind, because these are not aspects that are tied to our daily life. So it is difficult to remember these. But I hope it was worthwhile. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad jazallahu anna Muhammadan sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الميزان وقنا عذاب المسيح الدجال ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم سبحان الله رب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين أسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك وعزائم مغفرتك وغنيمة من كل بر وسلامة من كل إثم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مجاهدا إلا نصرته ولا مظلوما إلا نصرته ولا مظلوما إلا نصرته ولا مسلما إلا رحمته ولا مسلما إلا رحمته ولا مسلما إلا رحمته ولا حاجة يا لك رضا إلا قضيتها يا رب الراحمين يا رب الراحمين يا رب الراحمين يا ذو الجلال والإكرام يا لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم اللهم أسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم أنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد ও আল্লাহ তুমি আমাদেরকে কতিপয় বান্দাকে একত্রিত হওয়ার তৌফিক দিয়েছো আল্লাহ এটা তোমার বড়ই মেহেরবানি আল্লাহ তোমার কথা শোনার মতো কয়টা মানুষ সেই সুযোগ পায় আল্লাহ আমরা তোমার কিছু ইবাদত করার সুযোগ পেয়েছি তোমার কাছ থেকে সেটার জন্য আমরা অশেষ শুকরিয়া আদায় করি আল্লাহ এবং তোমার কাছে হাত উঠার তৌফিক পেয়েছি আমাদের যদিও তোমার কাছে হাত উঠাবার মতো মুখ নাই আল্লাহ এবং আমলও নাই আল্লাহ এবং ইমানের মজবুতিও নাই আল্লাহ আমাদেরকে তুমি সেই ইমানের মজবুতি দাও যার দ্বারা তুমি সন্তুষ্ট হও আল্লাহ এবং সেরকম আমল করার তৌফিক দাও নামাজ পড়ার তৌফিক দাও যেই নামাজ তোমার কাছে কবুলের যোগ্য হবে আল্লাহ এবং সেরকম ইলম শিক্ষা করার তৌফিক দাও মৃত্যু পর্যন্ত আল্লাহ যাতে করে তোমাকে চিনতে পারি এবং তোমাকে সেইভাবে ইবাদত করতে পারি আল্লাহ তোমার ইবাদত করতে পারি আল্লাহ এবং তোমাকে সর্ব অবস্থায় স্মরণ করার তৌফিক দান করো আল্লাহ তোমার যেভাবে তোমাকে স্মরণ করা উচিত আল্লাহ তোমার সমস্ত সৃষ্টি তোমাকে স্মরণ করে আমরা তোমার আশরাফুল মাখলুকাত আল্লাহ আমাদেরকেও স্মরণ করার তৌফিক দান করো যাতে করে আশরাফুল মাখলুকাত এই নামটার মর্যাদা আমরা রাখতে পারি আল্লাহ আমাদেরকে মানুষের একরাম করার মানুষের সম্মান করার মানুষের সাহায্য করার মানুষের জন্য দরদ বোধ করার মানুষ যাতে জাহান্নামের আগুন থেকে বাঁচতে পারে এবং বেহেশতে প্রবেশ করতে পারে সেই রকম অন্তরের অনুভূতি আমাদের দান করো এবং সেরকম মেহনত করার তৌফিক দান করো যাতে করে তোমার বাণী শুধু আমাদের জন্য না সবার জন্য সেই বাণী আমরা পৌঁছে দিতে পারি আল্লাহ একটা কুকুর দোজখের দিকে যায় আমরা হা হুতাশ করি কুকুরটা দোজখের আগুনের দিকে যায় আমরা হা হুতাশ করি আল্লাহ যে কুকুরটা আগুনে পুড়বে কিন্তু মানুষ তোমার সৃষ্ট মানুষ তোমাকে না চিনে মারা যাচ্ছে প্রতিটা দিন আল্লাহ আমাদের অন্তরে কোনো হাহুতাশ নাই আল্লাহ আমাদের মধ্যে সেই অনুভূতিটা দাও আল্লাহ ও আল্লাহ আমাদের অনুভূতি মৃত প্রায় আল্লাহ তুমি আমাদের সেই অনুভূতি জাগ্রত করো আল্লাহ আমাদেরকে সমস্ত উত্তম গুণে গুণান্বিত করো আল্লাহ তোমার সন্তুষ্টি দান করো তোমার ভালোবাসা দান করো আল্লাহ এবং যা কিছু আমরা পাঠ করার তৌফিক পেয়েছি যা কিছু আমল করার এবং শোনার তৌফিক পেয়েছি আল্লাহ তোমার কাছ থেকে আল্লাহ তুমি কবুল করো আল্লাহ আমাদের ভুল ভ্রান্তি সংশোধন করে তুমি কবুল করো আল্লাহ এবং তার সওয়াব রাসূল করিম সাল্লাল্লাহু আলাইহি ওয়াসাল্লামের কাছে পৌঁছে দিও এবং সমস্ত মুসলমানের কাছে পৌঁছে দিও আল্লাহ এবং আমাদের প্রিয়জন আমাদের নিকটজন আমাদের আত্মীয় স্বজন যারা কবরে শায়িত তাদের কাছে পৌঁছে দিও আল্লাহ তাদের কবরে আযাব মাফ করো যদি তুমি মাফ করে না থাকো এবং কবরকে প্রশস্ত করো কবরকে কবরকে জান্নাতুল ফেরদৌসের বাগান বানিয়ে দিও আল্লাহ, এবং নূর দিয়ে পরিপূর্ণ করে দিও আল্লাহ, এবং তাদের দরজা উঁচু করো কবরে এবং হাসরের ময়দানে, তাদের আমলনামা ডান হাতে দিও হাসরের ময়দানে, তাদেরকে আরশের নিচে ছায়া দিও হাসরের ময়দানে, এবং তাদেরকে পুলসিরাত বিদ্যুতের গতিতে পার হওয়ার তৌফিক দান করো আল্লাহ, এবং বিনা হিসাবে জান্নাতুল ফেরদৌসে দাখিল করো, এবং আমরাও যখন মারা যাব আল্লাহ আমাদের সাথে তোমার সর্বোত্তম ব্যবহার দেখিও কবরে এবং হাসরে এবং পুলসিরাত পার হতে এবং জান্নাতুল ফেরদৌসে দাখিল হতে। এবং আমাদের মধ্যে যারা যারা বিভিন্ন নেক হাজত নিয়ে হাত উঠিয়েছে আল্লাহ, তুমি তাদের নেক হাজত পুরা করে দাও আল্লাহ, তুমি একমাত্র পুরা করার মালিক আল্লাহ। আমরা যারা বিভিন্ন বিপদে আপদের মধ্যে আছি, তুমি আমাদের বিপদ আপদ দূর করে দাও আল্লাহ। আমাদের সন্তান সন্ততি, আমাদের আত্মীয় স্বজন, আমাদের পাড়া প্রতিবেশী, আমাদের আমাদের দেশবাসী, আমাদের বিশ্ববাসী সবাইকে তুমি বিপদ মুক্ত করো আল্লাহ, হেদায়েত করো আল্লাহ, সর্বোপরি হেদায়েত করো এবং 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 মাগফিরাত করো আল্লাহ, এবং মাফ চাওয়ার তৌফিক দান করো আল্লাহ, তোমার রহমত দ্বারা বেষ্টিত করো আল্লাহ আল্লাহ, এবং এবং তোমার হেফাজত দান করো আল্লাহ। ও আল্লাহ, ও আল্লাহ, আল্লাহ একমাত্র তুমি মালিকাল মুলক, তুমি যুল জালালি ওয়াল ইকরাম, তুমি আরহামুর রাহিমিন, তুমি আজিজুল জব্বারুল মুতাকাব্বির আল্লাহ, তুমি কুদ্দুসুস সালামুল মুমিন আল্লাহ। ও আল্লাহ, তোমার কাছে আমরা নিরাপত্তা চাই আল্লাহ, এবং সেরকম আমল তোমার কাছ থেকে আমলের তৌফিক চাই যে আমল করলে তুমি রাজি এবং সন্তুষ্ট হবো আল্লাহ। ও আল্লাহ, আমাদেরকে দুনিয়ার হাতে ছেড়ে দিও না আল্লাহ, দুনিয়ার চাকচিককে আমাদের ছেড়ে দিও না আল্লাহ, নফসের ধোকার মধ্যে ছেড়ে দিও না আল্লাহ, শয়তানের ধোকার মধ্যে ছেড়ে দিও না আল্লাহ। এক মুহূর্তের জন্য আমাদের নিজেদেরকে পরিচালিত করার ক্ষমতা নাই আল্লাহ। তুমি আমাদেরকে যেমন যেমন মা বা বাবা শিশুকে আঙ্গুল ধরে হাত ধরে টেনে টেনে নিয়ে যায়, হাঁটাতে শেখায় আল্লাহ, সেরকম আমাদেরকে কবর পর্যন্ত পৌঁছে দিও আল্লাহ। তোমার তোমার হেদায়েতের মাধ্যমে যাতে আমরা কবর পর্যন্ত পৌঁছাতে পারি আল্লাহ। ও আল্লাহ, ও আল্লাহ, যা কিছু আমাদের চাওয়া উচিত ছিল চাইতে পারি নাই তা তোমার তরফ থেকে দান করো, এবং যা কিছু থেকে পানা চাওয়া উচিত ছিল পানা চাইতে পারি নাই তোমার তরফ থেকে তুমি পানা দান করো আল্লাহ। ও আল্লাহ, আমাদেরকে রক্ষা করো, রক্ষা করো, রক্ষা করো আল্লাহ। আল্লাহুম্মা ইন্নাকা আফুউন কারীমুন তুহিব্বুল আফওয়া ফা'ফু আন্না রাব্বানা যালামনা আনফুসানা ওয়া ইল্লাম তাগফির লানা ওয়া তারহামনা লানাকুনান্না মিনাল খাসিরিন। রাব্বানা লা তুযিগ কুলুবানা বা'দা ইয হাদাইতানা ওয়া হাব লানা মিন লাদুনকা রাহমাতান ইন্নাকা আনতাল ওয়াহ্হাব। اللهم أسألك إيمانا كاملا يقينا صادقا علما نافعا رزقا واسعا عملا صالحا حياة طيبة دعاء مستجاب لسانا ذاكرا قلبا خاشعا رزقا حلالا طيبا شفاء من كل داء يا قاضي الحاجات يا رافع الدرجات يا حلال المشكلات يا موجب الدعوات برحمتك نستغيث يا أول الأولين يا آخر الآخرين يا أكرم الأكرمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا راحم المساكين يا ذي القوة المتين. ربنا تقبل مني إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين ولا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم। আমি প্রথমত সবার কাছে মাফ চেয়ে নিয়ে অনেক বেশি সময় নিয়ে ফেলেছি। তো যারা আমরা আবার সামনের রবিবারে মিলিত হব ইনশাআল্লাহ 10:30টায়। সময় পাল্টিয়েছে, সবাই যদি না জেনে থাকেন তো একটু জেনে নিয়েন যে 10:30টায় আমরা শুরু করব, যাতে করে সবার জন্য সুবিধা হয়। একটু আগে শুরু হলে সবার জন্য আশা করি সুবিধা হবে।